Alrighty, looks like we're recording. This light, let's get it adjusted and the mic a little bit. It's pretty cold here in California. I've been running I ran the heat in here for like 10 minutes before I parked my car to make this video because it is super cold. Ever since I lost a lot of weight, I've struggled a little bit in the colder months, but it is what it is. I used to be able to go to school in high school when I was 260 pounds. In the middle of winter with a pair of shorts on, flip-flops, and a t-shirt. Everyone would be like, dude, aren't you cold? No, I wasn't, because I had some extra insulation, so to speak, some excess adipose tissue, also known as fat, some blubber to keep me warm in the winter months. So I guess there is some benefits to being overweight if you look at it like that, but nothing a few extra layers won't fix. Contemplating making this a random rant, a long-winded rant, excuse me, depending on how... Are you recording? Yes. Depending how long it stays warm in this vehicle. So I should have brought some hot tea or something. I brought a chilled carbonated water. This water is not the best quality water in any way, shape, or form, but sometimes I like to treat myself to some carbonated water. But, you know, a lot of things to talk about. My uncle was at a flea market the other day and saw that, and instantly thought about me, so he picked it up. So I am going to make it part of the Sacred Serpent YouTube channel car rant video series, this new little piece of artwork here, and I will talk about what that is and what those are designed for in a video in the future. But just a few things I wanted to talk about. Love making videos, so let's get right into it. I wanted to first thank everyone who has donated to my channel. It feels really good knowing people enjoy my content enough and care about me enough to donate to my channel. It really does help as kind of a starving artist, but you know, I'm not in no way, shape, or form am I saying that I only care about people who donate to my channel. No, every time someone subscribes, every time someone watches my my videos, it's a form of donation to me, and I hope that my videos have been helping people. A lot of people have been leaving comments saying that they have, and that makes my heart warm. It makes me feel really good to share information that can potentially benefit other people. It's really fun to have a YouTube channel and to talk about the things you're passionate about. Yeah, thanks to all my subscribers. I'm close to 5,000 subscribers. I almost have 300 videos. It's taking me a while to get all this stuff together. I could have done it much quicker, but it's a lot easier to make more videos now with this new camera. Before I used to have I'd bring my laptop in my vehicle and plug a webcam into it and mount the webcam to my steering wheel, and had to do all this stuff with my laptop, and the laptop battery ended up being really bad, so I had to like rush my videos because the battery would run out, you name it. But anyways, about 2 months ago, I was out front doing some stuff in my car, cleaning it out, and my neighbor was walking down the street, and he stopped by, and we talked a little bit about cayenne pepper, the health benefits of capsaicin, and using powdered peppers as teas, you name it, to help increase circulation throughout the body, to help the heart, to bring oxygen and to move blood throughout the system. Cayenne pepper is miraculous for getting things to move. It is a circulatory herb. Even though it is a fruit, technically it's classified as a herb to keep things simple. In my opinion, cayenne pepper is a miracle herb, or a miracle fruit, miracle pepper, whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot of benefits that can be attained by using it properly. But there are right ways to use cayenne medicinally, and there's wrong ways. For one, a lot of the cayenne on the market is not organic. It's not hot enough. There's not enough capsaicin. And due to how they manufacture it, due to the fact that they take all these cayenne peppers, grind them up, squeeze it into a block, and put it in a oven at high heat, it loses a lot of its enzyme counts. It loses a lot of its natural constituents due to the heating process. So the heating process damages the molecules. It damages a lot of different things within a raw fruit or vegetable, whatever you have it. So most of the cayenne that people are consuming for medicinal purposes, they're consuming the wrong cayenne. It's not hot enough. A lot of times people will take cayenne pepper and put it in capsules and just consume it on an empty stomach. I have never recommended that. Only time I recommend taking cayenne pepper in encapsulated form is if it's mixed with other synergistic herbs. But when I was just getting into cayenne pepper, there were a few occasions where, I would take a double lock capsule, a vegetable cellulose capsule, and just stuff it full of hot 90,000 heat unit cayenne pepper, and I'd take like 4 of those. And then 20 minutes later, it literally felt like I needed to go to the ER, because when you take this stuff on an empty stomach and it doesn't get pre-digested in the mouth as a liquid, as a tea, it's not mixed with water, it can all unload in your gut at one time, and it can cause severe cramping. A lot of people will get into cayenne pepper, the logic of it, the philosophies of how it works, you name it, and they'll get excited by it, and they'll consume it in encapsulated form. They'll have horrible experience with it, and due to that, they think it's a dangerous supplement. So it's unfortunate when something so good catches a bad rap due to someone using it improperly and using it in an ignorant fashion. So cayenne pepper in a warm tea is probably the best way to consume it, other than a tincture, because when it's in a warm tea, the oils of the cayenne release. You just get more bang for your buck, so to speak, and it goes into the cellular structure, it goes into the physiology, it crawls into the body much easier, and much more efficiently and rapidly. Excuse me. So, anyways, that was kind of a long little side note, but we were talking about cayenne pepper, and somehow we started talking about supernatural experiences, ghosts, spirits, things of that nature, and he told me a story, and this dude's probably in his mid-50s to late 50s, I would guess, but he was telling me a story about how him and his friends were in his car when he was in his mid to late 20s, and my neighbor was driving the vehicle, and they were going way too fast, just being belligerent. No, they weren't drunk, there were no drugs involved, but they were just being crazy, 20-year-olds. And my neighbor said that he spun around a corner super fast and just floored it, and somehow he lost control of the vehicle and couldn't get the steering back in track, and he was starting to slide. And he said that about 25 feet to 30 feet in front of him, there's this gigantic tree, and he knew that if the car didn't change direction, that he was going to go right into that tree on the driver's side. And his buddy was in the passenger seat, just kicking it during all this. And my neighbor said that right before he was about to hit the tree, he closed his eyes and felt something grab his belt and the top of his flannel shirt on the neck. And he said when he opened his eyes, he was sitting towards the side of the road about 20 feet back, watching the whole thing take place, watching the car run right into the tree. Now, this didn't happen to his friend who was in the passenger seat, but his friend didn't really get hurt. I think he hurt his ankle, something rather insignificant compared to what would have happened to my neighbor if he would have hit that tree. We're talking death, ladies and gentlemen. I say that too much. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to stop doing that so much. But that's what you call divine intervention, ladies and gentlemen. This stuff, see what I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call divine intervention, my friends. Sounds a little bit better. This stuff happens all the time. It happens every day, every hour. People are gifted by the miraculous aspects of this experience here. So when it's not your time, it's not your time. But I did want to share that story. I know a few people who have had experiences like this where one of my family members was driving down a road and was about to get hit by a big semi-truck, and the car was lifted up and moved back to a different lane in the freeway. Just crazy, really interesting stuff happens. This dimension is highly supernatural. There's magic everywhere around us. It's happening all the time. We are tuned into a greater energy field than we currently are aware of, most of us. And I really do believe that if we continue to attempt to evolve ourselves with health, and if we can just get back on track, we can change our genetics, we can get rid of the sickness, and we can get closer to that miraculous energy field. that governs the existence of creation. So, I mean, if we could get back into our Merkaba, the light body vehicle, the chariot, the Stargate machine, the biological, living, breathing Stargate. I mean, the Merkaba is absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely magnificent. The glory of the Merkaba can drive an individual insane. It's so beautiful, excuse me. But I mean, if we could get back into that state of consciousness where we could be inside of our Merkaba, have the stimulation of the aura and the halo, also known as the nimbus, the Kundalini moving through us, we would be so shocked at how just vivid and beautiful reality truly is and how precious life truly is. But really neat story that he told me. His mom was a medium, could see things far in advance before they happened, and the things ended up happening. She would often tell her son, my neighbor that I'm friends with, when he was younger, certain events that would happen, and they'd happen 5 years. She'd tell him these events 5 years, 2 years before they happened, 1 year, and then it ended up happening. So some of us are highly tuned into the psychic realm, the visionary realm. The visionary realm is just one of the gifts of being closer to the Kundalini energy. Psychics, mediums, you name it, they have a connection to the Kundalini energy. Many of them aren't aware of it because, I mean, you can be close to the Kundalini energy. You can be gifted with one of these biological gifts, such as foresight, you name it, clairvoyance, telepathy. You can have these attributes in your life, and you could never even know what Kundalini is. But Kundalini is the precursor to all occult sciences. It's the catalyst behind all supernatural activity, in my opinion. But that's a subject for a different rant. Doing another late night car video. Super cold. I'm glad I got this jacket for Christmas. This little vest. Never thought I'd like vests, but I'm amazed for how thin this thing is, how warm it keeps me. People keep driving by this parking lot, and there's this light shining on me. People think, like, what the hell is this guy doing? The fuck, talking to himself? But, excuse me. Occasionally a cop will come in here and harass me a little bit, but they've always been nice to me. I've been pulled over probably 21 times, between 19 and 21 times in the last year and a half or so, give or take. Haven't gotten one ticket, knock on wood. But, you know, there's a science to talking to cops. I mean, if you're nice and you're genuine with them, they usually are back. But, I mean, there's some crazy-ass police officers out there that should have their badge taken away from them permanently. It's amazing what some of these police officers have done, and they continue to have their jobs. I mean, this is insane. Oftentimes, the police departments will investigate their own practice, their own bureaus, their own officers. So that must be nice to be able to get in trouble and then to be able to investigate yourself and say, oh, I investigated myself and I found myself innocent. It's insane. I am glad, though, that cameras, video cameras on cell phones are much more prevalent now. People within the city usually have some form of camera on them, whether that be on a phone, you know, a little handheld camera, you name it. And cell phones in general, video cameras have really helped humanity, man. We've caught in a lot of really crazy shit on tape that wouldn't have ever been known about unless it was filmed. So I'm very thankful for video cameras and the public having them, having easy access to them, because there's some stuff going on within the law enforcement departments, you name it, that is really, really bad. And unless we capture it on film and document it, I mean, it just goes unnoticed. So in no way, shape, or form am I talking bad about the police department. No. I know a handful of cops. They're great people. But again, there's always a couple bad seeds. That's inevitable. But a few other things I wanted to talk about. I am going to wrap this one up, I think. I'm pretty cold. Need to go get some gas and do a few things. But what would you guys like to hear me talk about on this channel? I'd love to hear some suggestions from my subscribers. You can ask me anything to talk about. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'll see your comment or that I'll get back to you immediately, but I do my best to get back to people who contact me. I do my best to try to answer questions that my subscribers and people who watch my channel ask or comment on, because it feels good to me to stay in contact with the people who are supporting me and watching my channel. To me, that's the most mature way of doing this, and I get enjoyment out of touching bases with people, trying to talk to people about fasting, you name it. I get a lot of questions about fasting, is what I'm saying. I get a ton of questions about Kundalini, fasting, and enemas. Now, someone recently asked me about, excuse me, it's amazing how many cars are going in and out of here for how late it is right now. This parking lot is usually totally empty. It's where I've made a majority of my car vehicles, this little parking lot. Love this little space. It's usually really private. But someone recently asked me, are enemas during a fast beneficial? During a water fast or a juice fast, are they beneficial? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. When you're fasting, once you get into the third day of fasting, your body is dumping poisons. It's dumping stuff into the eliminative channels for you to excrete it. Oftentimes when we fast, certain things that are stuck in our tissues, you name it, inside of our physiology, they go back into the bloodstream so that they can circulate and get pushed out of the eliminative channels. But an enema, a series of enemas during a fast is very beneficial. I've utilized enemas on almost all my fasts, probably all of them. So yeah, I do recommend it, because when you're fasting, your eliminative channels are just going to be filling with stuff, and fasting is one science of helping the body rid itself of accumulated poisons. But if you apply enema procedures and protocols to the fasting experience, it can help you rid a lot of the stuff that your body is getting rid of, but it's having a difficult time letting go of. Because even when you fast, I mean, even though when you do fast, oftentimes you will have bowel movements. Sometimes your body is just struggling to get this stuff up and out, and it doesn't want to wait until you have to have a bowel movement. So if you use like a warm water distilled enema while you're fasting, just like a ½ liter to a liter or more, depending on how much you can hold, you oftentimes will be surprised at the smell of what you discharge and the color of it. You know, an enema essentially is just a way of washing the colon, washing the innards. So yeah, it's very, very recommended in my opinion. If you want to learn more about that, I recommend picking up Edmund Bordeaux-Zekeli's book, The Essene Science of Fasting. What a great book. A little book, very easy to read. That's a very valuable tool to have in today's crazy world. That book, The Essene Science of Fasting by Edmund Bordeaux-Zekeli. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description box. I say that all the time, but I always forget. But I mean, enemas in general are very beneficial, even if you're not fasting. I think the average American would be blown away if he could see just how much stuff he or she's holding on to. I know I say this in a lot of videos, so I don't want to rant too much about it, but it is true. And repetition of a message constitutes mental programming. And we need to get our heads out of our asses, so to speak. And what I mean by that's a metaphor for having so much shit inside of our colons, inside of our small intestine, our livers, every part of our physiology is under some form of attack from this culture and the toxicities of this culture. So, you know, it's great that we have vehicles, but it's at the same time, it's horrible that we have brake dust in the air, all the different pollution from the vehicles. There are so many other forms of free energy technology that have been available for so long, such as things like tachyon energy, different things like the hydrogen vehicle. There's just all sorts of things. Excuse me one moment. Threw me off guard. But I mean, even we have to be centered with our health and grounded with our health and caring for our health. just to keep up with the toxicity of the world that we live in. And that's okay. There's a handful of tools that we can use to remain healthy and go about attempting to stay healthy. But, even if you're not a healthy person, even if you, and what I mean by that is, even if you currently do things that you know are unhealthy, that doesn't mean that you can't take care of your health. I mean, you don't have to be Mr. or Mrs. Goody Two-Shoes to be a health conscious individual, to attempt to be a healthy individual. You can still party, you can still do things, you can still go out and have fun. But there is, in my opinion, a time and a place for everything. And if it's really when we over abuse things that are unhealthy, that's when we have a problem. But, for this culture, the human species has been doing things that are unhealthy for a long time. How would I say it this way? I mean, there are certain psychedelic sacraments that cultures have used for hundreds of years, longer than that, excuse me, my wording was a little off. There are psychedelic sacraments that many cultures have used for very long periods now that put the body into kind of a state of shock. It's considered unhealthy to the physical body, but it produces an effect on the consciousness that can be very beneficial. So sometimes doing things that are unhealthy in the right amounts can be beneficial, as crazy as that sounds. There's a great quote by, I think it was Paracelsus. It says something along the lines of, poisons in the right amounts can be man's best medicine, and poisons in large amounts can be man's demise. So, I think that's a very, very interesting quote. Again, poisons in the right amounts can be man's best medicine, but poisons in the wrong amounts can be man's demise. So, just a little philosophical idea there to ponder. Just because you get into health doesn't mean you have to completely let go of your life or having a fun, you can go out and party. Again, I don't like partying. I don't like that. I'm not a people person. I like being in isolation. I like being alone. But I mean, there's still things about my life that I need to improve on. I still do things that I consider unhealthy. But for the most part, my whole life is based around achieving a greater state of health and continuing to grow. So it is what it is. We're all at our own personal state of evolution. We're all at our own personal state of experience here in this dimension, and that's beautiful. So I've seen some amazing things happen with people's health. I've seen some miraculous recoveries from some pretty gnarly illnesses. That's a good one. I've seen some amazing recoveries with people with some severely dangerous and deadly life-threatening illnesses and diseases, cancers, pathologies, tumors, you name it. So I've seen the power of nature in action. I'm not saying that it works for everyone all the time, but it seems to work very, very well. That's what I'm getting at. I favor naturopathic ways of treating things as opposed to more of a westernized kind of pharmaceutical way of treating things, but those are just my personal opinions. I believe in both. I think there's great things in Western medicine, and I believe there's great things in nature. I'm not one of these people on here who's just going to get up here and bash the pharmacies, you name it. Even though I have some strong opinions regarding them, there are some good things there are some diamonds amongst the roughs. Or amongst the rough, whatever. But I have a lot of different philosophies and beliefs and ideologies compared to many people who are just so pro-natural. They've just been so... They get so obsessed with naturalism that they're not willing to look at the whole picture. They're not willing to look at the beneficial aspects of things like Western medicine or allopathic medicine, the pharmaceuticals, you name it. I'm not saying that it's good, but I'm saying that there are some beneficial things that can be done with these modalities. So it is what it is, man. Most of the people that I know who are so obsessed with just being a naturalist, they don't really take care of themselves well. They look ungroomed, unkept, and oftentimes unhealthy and malnourished. So it can be dangerous to just put yourself on a bandwagon and cling to one little trendy, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a group, like, oh, I'm 100% naturalist. I will never look at any data or any scientific studies. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. But to me, it's all about having an open mind. Not everything here in the Matrix is the devil. No, there have been some amazing discoveries, some great scientific breakthroughs, but there's a lot to learn about nature, let me tell you, because nature, ladies and gentlemen, has been put on the back burner for way too long, and it's very disappointing. The world that grows around us and provides us with the beauty and the oxygen and all the mystique and mystery, it's been put on the back burner for so long. This earth is being raped. This dimensional field is being raped. It's being decimated so that we can collect different minerals and build gigantic man-made cities and just pollute the air. It's insane. If you fly above any big city, especially LA, holy, what a shithole. And you look at the air, it's like, it's so strange to me how people, when I'm on an airplane and everyone's looking down, I flew over LA, I've flown over LA a few times, and just like, I've been in the airplane with people, and to just like see them pointing with their families, and oh, look at how beautiful it is. It looks like a giant polluted circuit board. It really does. There's like hardly any trees. There's unconscious people shuffling around everywhere. There's all sorts of pollutive cars scurrying around, toxic advertisements on all the billboards, just gigantic skyscrapers, and just there's nothing natural left, and people find beauty in that. People find beauty in skyscrapers and scorched earth and just no nature other than an occasional park with some grass, a few shrubs, you name it, some trees. So it's a crazy world, that's for sure. I had an idea years ago while I was sitting in my room just thinking about shit. We should be outfitting vehicles with air filters so that as you drive through the dirty air, the air goes through some type of membraned turbine and it actually filters the air and produces a cleaner stream. The outstream would be cleaner than the instream. And I think that if we outfitted most cars with that technology, that it would have a huge impact in the next 20 years, especially for like the surface pollution, the stuff within 30 feet off the ground. 10 to 20 feet, excuse me. Because as we would drive through this stuff and clean the air, it would create clean gaps of air, which would create kind of a backspooling effect, and it would cause the pollution from above to kind of fall down, and we could continue. Why not kill 100 birds with one stone and outfit vehicles with some type of air cleaning technology? Whether that be some type of turbine on both sides of the top of the roof or through in the grill of the vehicle. And we could provide some type of beneficial perk that you get from putting these air filters on your cars. So, it is what it is, though. I think ideas like that are a little too rational. And I'm not saying it's a bulletproof idea. I mean, it's just a concept, but oftentimes great things start with concepts, great inventions. So someone told me I shouldn't talk about that and I should invent it. It's like, hell no, I'm just going to put it out there. That type of technology is not something that I should do, that should wait. But I do have a handful of different ideas for different environmental technologies for cleaning the earth or for cleaning the atmosphere. How about the Merkaba? The Merkaba is a biological, living, breathing force field around the human fleshly vehicle, the corporeal body, the corpus, the organism. And with this thing fully activated, our dreams, aspirations, and intentions take tangible effect and shape in the physical realm, and we could be cleaning the air. All sorts of really interesting stuff can be done with this biological machine, I like to call it, this tetrahedron, this star tetrahedral sacred geometrical shield that encompasses us, all of us. So we have a lot to learn about the human organism. There's so many things about the human organism that we as a collective entity here on Earth aren't aware of, that would change the entire history, the course of history as a species, if these things were known. just how much power the human machine has, the human organism. Well, right now we are a slave species. The human biological entity has been reduced to kind of a transhumanistic, vaccinated, genetically modified computer, in the sense that computers, all they do is execute commands. They don't think for themselves, essentially. I mean, the newer computer technology, they're starting to become smarter and smarter, and that's kind of scary when you think about it. But again, most humans, statistically, they execute commands, they do what they're told, and they do it very well. So, I mean, I could see how the human species would be a grand slave species for some type of extraterrestrial entity or human hybrid species hiding behind plain view as they control us. So I do believe that there's a massive control agenda going on right now. Population reduction, there's so many things that the average person isn't aware of. What are we at? We're at 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap this rant up. On behalf of the Sacred Starseed Serpent Uraeus YouTube channel, thank you for watching this video. I hope that my videos, my channel, my messages, and my passion can help inspire you today to rekindle the flame in your heart for your health. There really is nothing more important than motivating yourself to take steps towards greater health. So the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. In that one step, once you make that first step and you don't mess up and you continue to go into your second step, you'll realize that that first step was half the journey and you've won half the battle. Peace be with you all.